Yo, what up guys? So when we're talking about the step back drill, that now there's two kind of different variations of the actual step back that is essential to know. So I think a lot of people don't realize that it is something that is going to be individual dependent, meaning that some types of guys are going to need more of an exaggerated step back, more of an exaggerated foot contact into the ground, and then some guys are going to need just a very subtle step back shift. Now for me it kind of serves two different purposes, right? So one purpose that we're trying to get out of it when we step back is just feeling the ground, that sensory input that you get when you make a step into the ground. It's the same thing that we see with guys that do a pull down or do a long toss shuffle, slam on that foot, and then you see drive leg mechanics really clean up. So again, a real subtle kind of step back into their leg lift. Again, this is going to activate that, sinking into that hip, that almost corkscrew effect with the hip. So again, you're not going to need a drastic step back move or a hop back move. You just need a very here, boom. So it's going to look something like this if I'm doing that, real subtle step back variation. I'll do it in two different angles, so hopefully you can get a kind of a good picture. But just for a simple step back to engage that back hip, back glute, sinking into the ground, it's just looking like this right here. Right? So again, very subtle, but effective. Gets the job done. It's going to look, again, just boom here. So kind of, again, the sensory input to the ground. Now, like I said, there's two different types of variations that I like with the step back. It's now more of a step back, exaggerated step back, that guys can control their posture throughout time and space on this one, that need a little bit more exaggerated feel into the ground. So that's going to look something like this. Right? So you can see just by those two different methods or two different variations that you're kind of accomplishing two different things. Now I will say, guys that are trying to do a step back exaggerated or a kind of a hop back, I know I program a lot of like skater jump stuff, is you have to be really careful with your overall body awareness and posture throughout that progression, right? Because you get guys that will do an exaggerated overemphasized step back like that, and then all of a sudden you have so much weight momentum and weight shift going backwards that your body automatically compensates to go exaggerate or over exaggerated forward, right? So you go back and then you go aggressive forward, and then you kind of get like stuck into positions that you don't want to be in, right? So with those types of guys, that's why I like the very simple modified step back, where you're just accomplishing the move of sensory input with the foot, ground connection, engage that back hip, corkscrew and go. But like I said, there's also guys that do have good body awareness, good body control, that are able to do exaggerated step back here and still control their posture, control their weight shift, and control their momentum, but accomplish the goal of having foot connection into the ground and having that sensory input, boom, ground, hinge, go. Because like I said, a lot of the times guys will get super exaggerated and super aggressive with that step back, and then all of a sudden their momentum and their shift is going to the extremes, and you kind of want to control that. And you get a lot of guys that jump into that back foot, that drive leg, and then they automatically think to jump off the drive leg, right? That's another common misconception, because when we pitch, when we throw, we don't necessarily want to jump, right? Jump off our drive leg. We want to drive into internal rotation. So that's another thing with guys that do an exaggerated step back, is if they jump with the lead leg, or even in my skater jump progression, if they jump with the lead leg, then they get into that drive leg, they're going to what? They're going to want to jump with the drive leg too. So it's really important. Like I said, it's about identifying what type of individual you are. If you have good body awareness, good spatial awareness, good posture control, you can have a little bit more over exaggerated to feel that ground connection and feel that force into the ground. But more oftentimes than not, you're going to be looking at a real simple kind of just modified boom, and now we go. Because again, when we do a step back, we don't want to jump jump off that drive leg, okay? We want to step back, ground connection, hold, think hinge, and then drive into hip internal rotation and throw, not jump and then jump again, okay? All right, hopefully that makes sense.